Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel where we talk about true crime and mystery. We have cases that will make you cry, cases that will make you angry, and also cases that will make you want to punch somebody in the face. Most importantly, this is a channel where we can talk about real crimes and about real people, but doing it nicely. So for today, I bring you the case of Mark Waugh and the events that led to his brutal death. Did his friend Rahul really did it, or was it Taylor? Let me know your thoughts on this one. Was a deadly triangle. One is dead, one is in jail, and the other one is free. Let's get started. On October 13, 2013, the lives of Mark Waugh, Rahul Gupta, and Taylor Gold changed forever. Rahul Gupta's family arrived from India in Washington in 1986, and they had a successful printing business. Rahul and Mark Waugh met in high school. Mark was described as quirky and a kid with a huge personality and a huge heart. Rahul was very smart, he was competitive, confrontational, and he also had a temper which got worse when he drank. Rahul and Mark's friendship lasted until college. Lasted until one of them was dead. Rahul was a biomedical engineering student. Mark was a law student, and both of them at Georgetown University. During his senior year in Georgetown University, Rahul met Taylor Gold. The two started dating, and then they moved in together into an apartment in Silver Springs. Taylor Gold was a physics researcher at FDA. She had a really good job. A tragic night started as a celebration. It was Rahul Gupta's 24th birthday, and the three amigos went out to party, bar hopping, in DuPont Circle. But when I say partying, I mean a lot of drinking. There was heavy drinking that night. They drank for hours. The group eventually met with another friend named Josh White, who went to drink with them. But things didn't end well. The thing is, while they were drinking, there was some alleged flirting. Taylor said Josh was flirting with her, and Josh said Taylor was flirting with him. Mark actually overheard Taylor telling Josh she couldn't do that to Rahul, and Mark assumed Josh was hitting on Taylor. Josh tried to explain what had happened to Mark and Rahul, and Taylor decided she wanted to leave, and Josh separated from the group and went home. At 2 a.m. October 13, 2013, the celebration was over. Mark, Taylor, and Rahul went back to the couple's apartment. Everything seemed fine, especially after seeing surveillance footage from the elevator. After they returned to the apartment later on, Taylor Gold called 911. Something had happened, but if anything, that call was just weird. While most people who call 911, they sound aggravated and ask for help, Taylor was extremely vague. She wanted the police, but she just simply wouldn't answer the questions the dispatcher was asking. She would actually avoid answering them. While she was being secretive about what had happened, there was an angry voice in the background, but Taylor told dispatchers she was alone, and she never mentioned someone was hurt or dead. The police arrived at the apartment. There was yelling inside and movement, and no one came to the door. The police opened the door, and Taylor had blood stains on her, and she asked the police, "I don't know what happened. Can you help me?" Taylor stayed outside, and the police got inside the tiny apartment, and they found a gruesome scene. There was blood on the walls of the kitchen living room. Rahul was lying on the floor covered in blood, and next to him was Mark, dead in a pool of blood. He had been stabbed to death. While in the apartment, Rahul was very distraught. He was rambling, and he actually told the police, "I caught them cheating. I killed my buddy." Taylor and Rahul were arrested and taken to the police station to be interrogated. While they were being interrogated, Rahul and Taylor were still very drunk, so their statements were a bit confusing. But one thing was obvious, both of them were trying to pretend they didn't know what had happened. Taylor kept saying she didn't remember. She was very drunk. She couldn't remember if she had killed Mark. The two of them were very deceitful, covering each other, but when Rahul sobered up, the story changed. Even though he had confessed to killing Mark, he changed his mind and recanted. And he said he had told he had killed Mark to protect Taylor, so he was taking the fall for his girlfriend. And you know what this means? He's going to blame everything on his girlfriend. So here's another version of Rahul. He stated during interrogation he zoned out on the couch, drunk and stoned. He then looked up when Taylor was screaming and he realized Mark was hurt and he tried to help him by performing CPR. That's how he got blood all over him. He was a hero. Not really. Taylor told the police Mark wanted to comfort her and give her advice regarding the alleged flirtation from Josh White. That's why Taylor wanted Mark to go home with the couple. She hoped Mark would take her side. Taylor also stated she kept blacking out and she didn't want Rahul to be accused of something that she might have done it. But authorities believe Taylor knew what happened and why. Rahul was adamant he didn't do anything. He stated he hadn't stabbed anyone. He then said something that thing had happened between Mark and Taylor because of the way they were acting. And Rahul also stated Taylor stabbed Mark. Taylor was confronted with this and she said she didn't remember. Josh White was also interrogated and he stated Taylor kept flirting with Rahul's friends and that made him uncomfortable. After interrogation, and even though Rahul tried to put the blame on Taylor, Rahul Gupta was charged with murder. While investigating the case, the police found at the crime scene a contact lens that belonged to Taylor at the back of Mark's jeans. They found a long blonde hair in the murder weapon. They also found a blonde hair stuck in a stain of blood on the wall and in Mark's hands, which was never tested. There was also Taylor's dress she had worn that night with blood stains. Actually, Taylor changed her clothes. She wasn't wearing that when the police arrived. The police found out the couple's relationship wasn't in a really good place. They weren't happy. Allegedly, Taylor was unsatisfied with her sex life. And of course, there were also more stories about Taylor flirting with other men, Rahul's friends, which came to light. But there's one thing that made authorities believe Taylor hadn't killed Mark. One of the stab wounds was so deep, which made practically impossible for Taylor to have done it because of her size. There was one other person in the room who could have done this, and this was Rahul Gupta. And the motive? Jealousy. Rahul believed something was going on between Mark and Taylor, which later on he said he didn't see anything happen between the two of them. While in prison, Rahul was recorded in a conversation with his father on the phone, telling his father he and Mark got into a fight. Mark got a knife, then Rahul got the knife, and the result? Mark Waugh died. Rahul went to trial, Taylor testified, and she kept saying that she didn't remember anything. Well, she kept her story straight. She never changed her story. Well, Rahul in trial had another version. He said he bumped his head, he fell down, and while he was in the floor, Taylor killed Mark. The jury didn't believe him with so many versions of what had happened, and I don't believe him either. So the jury found Rahul Gupta guilty of murder and sentenced him to life in prison. Who do you think killed Mark Waugh and why?